What's up guys, Cliff here from the Sunday Drive. Today we're working on my 2014 Silverado and we're going to be upgrading the air intake system.
It sounds like you changed your exhaust, but you didn't,
No.
Which is really cool.
So welcome back to the channel guys. We are once again on the 2014 Silverado, and if you've been watching the channel for any length of time, you know that we've had these parts ready to go on the truck for a couple years, but the DoD delete took a lot longer and a motor more than I was anticipating that it would. But we're finally ready to get these parts added on. So we have an AIRAID air intake. It's a full box system, so a whole new air intake system. And then we have a 6.2 intake manifold, as well as the 6.2 throttle body that are going to be going onto the truck in a following video. So if you want to check that video out, watch the link above. And once we have these parts on, we are actually going to be doing dyno testing. So we're going to dyno test these two parts independently to see how much power each one of them adds, to know if it's a worthwhile upgrade for you guys to do. So as we mentioned, we're going to be going back over to our buddy's shop, EFX Tuning, and they're going to be helping us get some dyno numbers and dial in the tune on this truck. Be sure to check those out if you have any GM vehicles or Dodge or anything performance-wise. Those guys are great. But we have a new drive shaft here, and the reason for this is the drive shafts on the Silverados are prone to failure. I'm going to set that down real quick. When you go over 100 miles an hour. So not all the trucks, I think some of them do have upgraded drive shafts from the factory, but mine is factory limited to around 100 miles an hour because the drive shaft can split apart above that from the vibrations and everything. So we have an upgraded one right here from Driveline Performance that's going to be going on the truck. So once we get this installed, we'll be able to do a baseline pull of all our new parts in fourth gear. And the reason you want to do it in fourth gear is that's the closest to a 1-to-1 ratio, and we'll be able to go over 100 because fourth gear is going to take it well above 100 miles an hour, and we'll be able to do it with this. So stay tuned. In a following video, we'll be showing you how to install this, and then we'll have subsequent videos that show all our dyno results for these additional parts. So we're actually filming the install of these parts today. Then we're going to take them back out, go do the dyno time with just the upgraded drive shaft, and then while we're on the dyno, we're going to throw these parts back on real quickly. We didn't want to have to film the install there and take up their time. So we're filming it first, taking it back off. This is all for you guys. We do all this extra work, so please like and subscribe. And anyway, let's get to it. Next video, we'll have this getting done. So let's start taking everything apart. Now, we already put the hood up in the service position. This is mostly to help us with filming, but it does make the installation a little bit easier if you want to really get up inside your engine bay. It's very easy to do. There's two 10mm bolts you have to remove, and then there are these little plastic or rubber grommets that sit behind your hood pins. There's two clips that hold on the side, so if you push in towards the middle, these will unclip and you can actually work this up and over your antenna there with the hood mostly closed, and it has the same thing over on the driver's side. So quick and easy if you want to throw it up into service position, but obviously not necessary for what we're going to be doing. First, we're going to disconnect the mass airflow sensor right here, so you just pop that red tab up like so. You can use your finger too, and then just squeeze in, and that will lift off. We'll set that to the side. And then we're going to loosen this hose clamp right here. And then we're also going to loosen the hose clamp that holds the intake to the throttle body. Then you have the two connections on either side, so we're going to lift up on the gray part, basically squeeze, and this will pop off. On this side, you're going to squeeze it and push down so it's mirrored of the driver's side, and that'll pull off. And now we'll be able to lift this portion of the airbox off. Just move it off over there. Now we're going to go ahead and remove both of these because the AIRAID system is going to have a new setup for you. So same style connection on the opposite end, pinch in, and we're going to lift off. Same thing over here, pinch and lift. Now we're going to remove the air box itself. So this is just held in by grommets, so if you just pick it up, it'll pop out. Right. We're gonna sneak this out. And there you go, that's your stock airbox removed. Now we're gonna remove this tray right here. We will need to reuse the bolts, but the tray will not be reused. Now you guys have probably seen this cart in a few of our videos. It is really nice, especially when you're working on a higher truck. You don't have to keep getting up and down to get all your tools, and you have somewhere to put the parts that you're taking off and not have to worry about them falling in. So we'll have this linked, but very nice Eastwood tray cart thing that works really well. Now before we get started with installation, let's go over everything that's gonna come in the kit and show you what we'll be installing. Now AIRAID does sell a version of this kit that does not include a new airbox. It'll actually reuse your stock airbox. It'll just replace this part right here with an elbow like this, as well as a high flow air filter. So if you want to maintain your stock airbox, that is an option. Today we're going to be installing the full kit with a new airbox. As always, these parts will be linked in the description, and it does really help us out when you go through those links to pick up those parts, so we really appreciate it. So here's everything that comes in the kit. You have a new air filter, a very nice, healthy, large air filter. That's going to go into a velocity stack, which is going to go in there like so. This is going to screw into your new airbox, and then you're going to have a rubber coupling that's going to slide over top of that. That is then going to connect into the AIRAID tube here, which is going to go a nice straight shot into the throttle body, replacing this monstrosity that normally comes with your truck. And then it has an upsize coupler that will go into that 6.2 throttle body we're installing. Now, this is the exact same air take, I believe, if you have the 5.3. The only difference is this coupler, which on the 6.2 has to have that size step up. Now, if you look at your stock airbox, this is the stock 5.3 airbox, and we compare it to a 6.2 airbox, you'll notice that right here, these are the exact same diameter. So no size difference. If you do want to upgrade, you're not going to have to worry about the diameter where the mass airflow sensor is, because if you're tuning a vehicle and this diameter changes, that can throw off all the numbers of the vehicle, because the mass airflow sensor is basing its calculations off this inner diameter that is programmed in from the factory. So if that changes, your tuner needs to know. So this is the complete stock airbox. I've already went ahead and separated the top. This is where your air filter normally sits, your standard flat style air filter. And the only place that your stock airbox is picking up air, at least the one in my truck, is from the side right here. The new airbox has two pickup locations that are actually completely different. So it has a hole towards the front of the vehicle, as well as this part that goes down for a lower air pickup. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you are doing any serious off-roading and going through water, this does have a lower pickup point, so I don't know if that would allow additional water to potentially get up here, whereas this one does not have any pickups at the bottom. So just something to be aware of if you do upgrade to this air intake system. Now, one thing I might consider doing in the future, if I'm really bored one day, is this side piece will actually pop out right here. So it's just held in by 3 tabs. Potentially, depending on how this sits in the truck once we install it, there might be a way to mount this on the side and add an additional air pickup. Is this necessary? Probably not. It's probably almost definitely not necessary, but it might be something just cool to do and add an extra air pickup to the system. So that's how the airbox looks. Let's show you guys how to get it installed. Need to move the mass airflow sensor over to the new air intake. So this is held in by 2 T15 Torx bolts or screws. Now, do not use these to install into the new airbox. These are designed to go into plastic, whereas the new airbox has metal inserts. And you want to make sure this is installed in the same orientation in your new pipe. I believe this will only go in one way, so that way it lines, doesn't actually quite line up that way, but it lines up perfectly that way, so can't really mess it up. There are 2 small bolts that are included. And these are 3/32. Now we have 2 PCV connections to add into the new pipe. Now you are putting plastic into plastic, so don't over tighten these. There's a straight one that's gonna go right into the end right here. So start that by hand. Actually threads in very easily. Now you could use a like thread sealant, so like the tape that you would use like with air tools and stuff on this. It probably won't help. Just make sure there's none that's gonna get disconnected and blown into your intake, obviously. So make sure you don't have any hanging loose on the inside. Now as you tighten this one down, you want it to end in this orientation. So let's see. You don't want to over tighten this. And this isn't a system that's under pressure. So I'm gonna end it right there. If you do want to use a wrench on it, I brought one over just in case. It seems like it's 11/16. But honestly, after tightening these in, I think you just want to do this by hand. Yeah, so again, the system isn't under pressure, so this does not have to be super, super tight, and you don't want to mess up the threads by over tightening it. So now we need to install the velocity stacks into the new airbox. It has threaded inserts, so you're going to put this to the inside of your airbox and line those holes up. Take the provided washers and bolts and tighten this down. We start by hand to make sure you're not cross-threading. And 5/32 seems to fit nicely. Again, you don't need to over tighten these. They're just threaded inserts in plastic, so you don't want to break those free. Now we're ready to put the airbox in. So wiggle that down. We might need to loosen this bar here. All right, so just to make our life a little easier, I'm gonna loosen this bar here so I can swing this out of the way. I'm gonna try to avoid removing this entire thing. I'm just gonna remove a couple of the push pins that hold it in. There's a 2-part plastic clip. All right, and that gives me plenty of clearance to access that. And cut. Now that we have that bar removed, you can slide that down in place. And we're gonna be reusing 3 of those screws that we removed earlier to hold this airbox down. Yep. Now we're gonna put the filter on. And snug that up. Take the coupler that looks like this and put your 2 largest clamps that are remaining onto it. Right. Now before installing this pipe, you want to go ahead and get your lines installed here. The longer of the 2 lines is going to go on the driver's side, so over on this one, and the shorter is going to go on the passenger side. So I'm going to go ahead and work that on. And this one is going to go right here. And then they have these little clips that go over, and you're going to pinch that closed. And they give you new elbows that go onto the factory style connection on the other end. So you're going to want to connect that in like so and like so. And again, there's clips for this end as well, but I'm going to hold off until all the angles are correct and it's in its final position. I'm going to take the coupling right here. The larger side is going to go towards the throttle body. Now, just for ease right now, I'm going to leave these facing up, but if you want this to look a little cleaner, there will be access so you could flip these down so you don't see the screw heads. All right, so that's on there. Now we can take our piece right here and we're going to work it into position. Okay. And then you can bring these over, clip those into place, and we're gonna go over top of, I don't know, you can decide how you wanna do this. I'm gonna go under that one right there like that. There you go. Again, you're gonna wanna clip these. The nice thing about this style is even once it's all together, you can just go around and clip it in place. Last thing to put on is this weather stripping right here that'll help seal it against the hood. Kind of seal it against the hood. I don't know how that's gonna work. But. So I'm gonna finish putting this weather stripping on, but I'm getting frustrated with it right now. So you get the idea. Just work it around, get it put on there. But that is the installation pretty much done. We just need to tighten up these hose clamps. So let's get you guys some sound clips for the end of this video, and then we're gonna get you some dyno numbers in the next one. All right, so here I'm just like doing like 1,000 to 1,500, just a little load. You hear it like right away as soon as you let off, and then put it back on.
You know, it sounds like you changed your exhaust, but you didn't,
No.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
So plus an exhaust.
Yep. I
is
don't
just
care
under-
if it gave me extra horsepower. Even if it cost 5, still worth it.
Worth it.
So thanks so much, guys, for watching. As always, parts and tools are in the description. It does help us out. So if you're thinking of getting any of these, definitely check those out down below. We'll have some more sound clips and dyno numbers for this upgraded intake in the near future. So be sure to come back for that. Thanks for watching. See you back here next time.